It's day 6, and I've been thinking a lot about how well we really know our ideal customer. If you're new here, I'm Craig Dew, and 0 to 1 million follows our business growth with Rev Levers and the vegan Shopify stores we help grow through education-based branding. So I want to, issue a challenge about how well we really know our customers, and I'm doing it in my own business, but also thinking about it in yours too if you're watching this. And we have these kind of vague ideas of who we're talking to. I see it a lot, like clients will give us some vague demographics and a few psychographics and that kind of thing, but it's often very broad. And so I want to ask 2 questions basically to help narrow this down. So the first one is, how many customers do you actually need to make your business successful? So doing some numbers, right? In e-commerce, if you had 5,000 customers and they were just spending $200 every year with you, you'd have $1 million business, and that would be your first million, and you can grow from there. If you had 2,000 customers and they bought $40, I think $42 per month with you, so on a kind of recurring subscription, then you'd also hit $1 million. And in our business, like if we had 42 clients that we were working with at $2,000 a month, then we'd hit $1 million as well. So if you think about that in terms of how many people you actually need to talk to, it's very few that need to kind of believe in your message and interact with you and become your customers versus how many people there are in the world or the country or even your TAM, your total addressable market, that kind of thing. So that allows us to really narrow down the focus of who we're talking to. So that's the first question, thinking about how many people you actually have to reach to get to that first level and the second level and the third level, and how do you get that first bit of momentum going. So the second question is, how do we make our product so good that these customers will love it so much that they share it with their friends? Because that does our job of marketing for us. If it's so amazing that they're going to talk about it with everyone else, then we don't need to keep running ads or doing a whole bunch of content and that kind of thing. We just need to let the product speak for itself. And a great product is shared through word of mouth. So Seth Godin made this popular with his book Purple Cow a long time ago. The premise of the book is basically, if you're driving along a country road, you see a whole bunch of brown cows and it's very, very boring. But if you saw a purple cow in a field amongst brown cows, it would stand out and it would be remarkable, and everyone would go, oh my God, look at that purple cow over there in the field. And so you want your business to be like that as well. But obviously, as more people copy the purple cow, you go past fields and you see, now you've seen 10 or 20 or 50 purple cows. It's not so exciting and not worth talking about. So really tapping into your uniqueness to make sure that you're remarkable, that someone will remark about your business, is key to getting that growth going. And then he also goes into a lot of detail in this, and This Is Marketing, which is one of his more recent books based on the marketing course he does. And so it dives down into kind of the psychology and stuff that you need to talk to and understand your customers. So highly recommend reading those. It's not a nice, easy 3-step formula of how to follow and figure out these things, but it gives you a good guide of what to think about. And it's one of those books I go and read over and over again. I turn little bits into models and use them in various places as I can. And so in order to get an idea of who your ideal customers are, first, we want to talk about the current customers. And I should probably clarify ideal customers. So whoever you're aiming for, I think about it like a archery target. So in the middle, you have your ideal customers. They're like the bullseye of the perfect person that you want to hit, because they're going to spread the word to everyone else and be a real advocate for your brand, and they really care about what you're doing. And then wider from that, you've got kind of the circles going out as your audience gets a little bit kind of from boiling hot to warm to lukewarm to cold as you go further out. And if you want a really big business, then eventually you expand into that cold market. But you really want to start with the hot market that cares about what you're doing in the middle. And so getting an idea of if you've already obviously started your business, which is mostly who I'm talking to here, hopefully, who your current customers are, and going from there. So drilling into what you know about them, and we'll go into the different bits we want to talk about. So as you go through this process, you iterate. And so you learn about your customers, and then you get more customers, and you learn about them, and then you get more, and you keep narrowing down your messaging and the media you're using to reach them to make sure that you've got a clear target of your ideal customer. And your ideal customer, how you define it 5 years, 10 years from now, should be a lot clearer than where it is in the beginning, where you're like, people who have money, I don't know, what? And you're trying to drill that down, obviously. So getting clear on that helps. And for an example of how little we think about this, I guess, when was the last time you were on a Shopify store and you bought something, or you even just joined their email list and they actually asked you questions about why you were going to buy, or why you were interested, or why didn't you buy in an abandoned cart sequence, or if you became a customer, why did you buy? So ask for reviews and get social proof and that kind of thing. But even reading those reviews and using it into the product, but actually going, oh, you said that, that's really interesting. Can I dig into that a little? Even getting some people on the phone and actually talking to them like a real live person could help you understand your customers at a deeper level, and that helps inform all your marketing as well. But no one does that. It's just, we put stuff up and we hope it works and we iterate based on that, and we're guilty of the same thing. So it's just interesting to think about how much detail we could go into on this, and the further we go, the better off we are going to be and stand out from our competitors as well, because there's a low bar of what we're aiming for. And so when we think about our customers, there's kind of two buckets you can put it into. So demographics and psychographics. Demographics is your basic things that most people have. It's their age range and gender and location and that kind of stuff, easily definable numbers or figures or kind of things you can do. And psychographics is the personality aspects of it. So what do they believe? What do they think about? How long have they been in the market? Have they been burnt before? All those kind of different things that you want to think about. So let's talk about some examples. So starting with demographics, we're going to look at protein powder for one of our clients we were working with. And they had this idea of protein's for everyone and everyone needs to have protein, so we should just market everyone. And it's actually there's a hotter market right in the middle that we should be aiming for first. And so part of that was when we looked at their Facebook and Instagram followers, and that 75% of the audience was male. So it was a very clear demographic of who we could be targeting. And then there were location-based indicators and stuff like that as well. So you can narrow down who your messaging is actually for from the demographics by seeing who the current customers are. Then we had an energy drink company that we were working with. So their demographics actually went the other way. It was about 75% female. And so completely different messaging in terms of who we were talking to. They actually had more followers in the 35 to 44 age range than they did in the 25 to 34 age range. So kind of the audience skewed older. And it's in energy drinks where everyone's you've got to get 20-year-olds, and their competitors were going to college campuses and everything's focused on young people, where the customers were actually older who were looking for something different. And we'll get into that in the psychographics, but kind of just thinking about those demographics and being who are you really targeting? Because if everyone's targeting young people over here and old people are actually buying your stuff, maybe you should just talk to the older people. Not that 35 to 44 is old, but an older market than what most people are talking to. And that gives you some very clear demographic things to aim for our business and Rev Levers. So the real obvious tick box is Shopify. We talk about Shopify all the time. So people building a brand using Shopify, we like to keep that because using one website is standard rather than trying to do all the e-commerce platforms. We try to be very focused because we don't need a lot of clients and people to work with to be successful. So let's make it as easy as possible and work with the same website over and over again. And if it's Shopify and usually Klaviyo is the email provider, then we know those systems very well and we can build from there. So that's a very easy tick box that we can have, which would be part, you could put it sometimes psychographics, but I'll just put it in demographics. We want to work with people in the US. So even though we're in New Zealand's backwards in terms of marketing, and we're very slow here in order catching up on what we're doing. So I've spent most of my life working in other markets, mainly in the US, also around Canada and UK, and was in Spain for a while, Australia, and different markets. But US is where we're really targeting and who we want to talk to. So that makes a difference in what we're doing and the demographic part of it. In the past, a lot of my best clients have been female. And so it's interesting, the ones that appreciate the work the most, the ones that stay the longest, the ones that get the best results are usually female. And that some of the psychographics will get a bit sexist when we get into that area maybe. They share probably more of those traits because of the demographics of being a woman versus being a man. So it's interesting, but it helps us target of who we're talking to. It's not that we're going to completely exclude men, and if you're watching this video, I'm very sorry. But it means we have a clearer view of who we're normally talking to, and that may change our message. And then company size as well. So we've worked with various company sizes. We're usually in the smaller range, so up to 1 million to 10 million, that kind of side of things. But we find we struggle when it's someone brand new who's has no team members, or they're starting out for themselves. Maybe it's a hobby, maybe it's a side thing. They're not really serious about it, or they may feel serious about it, but they're not making serious decisions yet. So kind of company size is a bit of that. Having some employees, probably like once you get up to, if someone's got 100 employees, they're probably too big for us. But in that might be 2, 3, up to maybe 20, like 50 on the very high side type of thing. And it's a loose rule, but it gives us an idea of the company size, how big their marketing team is, whether we can integrate and be a useful part of the marketing team or not. And again, that's demographics. So then we get into psychographics. So let's jump back to the protein powder again. And so with that one, they wanted proteins for everyone because a lot of people are protein deficient in the country that we were targeting, that we're in. And so they wanted to make sure that it was that was their message. But when you get down to it, the people that buy protein the most are people who want to build muscle. And so that showed like the male market wanted to build muscle was one of their big things. So they often are going to the gym. So we know that they're a person who goes to the gym and they lift weights at the gym. They're not doing maybe yoga classes or that kind of thing. They're probably lifting weights to build muscle. So then we think about, why are they lifting weights? What's their motivation there? And it's probably, as a guy, they want to feel more attractive. So they think if they have bigger muscles, they'll feel more attractive. Why do they want to be more attractive? Well, they probably want to attract partners of whatever sex they're attracted to, but it's basically to get sex at the bluntest terms of like they want to attract a partner in some form, long-term relationship, short-term, whatever it is, and they feel that the journey of getting muscles will help them achieve that. So if we're diving down layers of what's really motivating them to get that result, because it's not because they want to go to the gym. There's a problem that they're trying to solve by doing that, and that it's not that they want to eat more protein during the day. They're trying to solve a problem. So you need to understand your customers on a deeper level, what they really want. For the energy drink, so the obvious thing is you start with, well, they want energy. So they're feeling tired and fatigued and all those kind of things that people might pick up a can of energy drink or something for that. But it's got to be different as well. So what's the real need? Because it's like there's coffee or other kind of stimulants that you can take to feel more energy. So they want something else. If it's an older market, maybe they're not driven by, I want to recover from my hangover because I partied all night and now I've got to go to work the next day, or school, or I want to stay up cramming for an exam. Like that's the 20-year-old market. If it's an older market, it might be, I just have an afternoon slump at work, or I'm raising kids and it's exhausting. You've got newborns, or like different age groups of children that are making them feel tired, so they want to pick me up so they feel more energy to play with their kids or get through the workday, or still have time for themselves. Like the messaging is different because of what they believe and what they're looking for, and the problem they're trying to solve is very different to getting pumped up so they can go and like drink a Red Bull and do BMX biking for the afternoon, or like the kind of extreme sports that they all talk about in their branding. And so that becomes interesting. And then there were some things with the product in terms of people, if they take caffeine or other sugary energy drinks and that kind of thing, they can get the caffeine jitters, so they feel kind of shaky or out of it or that kind of thing. There's also typical to have an energy crash after you take it. And so you get energy for a short amount of time because the sugar pumps you up, but then the caffeine takes longer, but it drops off with the sugar faster, so you get an energy crash after it and you can feel worse. Where their product had different ingredients in it that actually gave you a longer sustained energy, and it didn't have that crash and it didn't have the jitters associated with it. So someone who was facing those problems, that's part of their psychographic makeup that we want to talk to in order to attract them. So you can see it starts to go layers and layers and layers about what, rather than just go, we have an energy drink and put that in an ad, it's like, well, what are we really talking to? So we came up with creative ads that were targeting, I can't say too much about it because I don't want to be specific in your way what we did, but we're targeting older people and we're talking about the problems that they're facing in terms of, and when older, 35 to 44, not old, okay? 'Cause that's me as well. Then RevLev is like what we're targeting, and obviously know more about this and been putting more and more thought into it. So because I'm vegan, so that's part of my belief systems, right? And whatever your belief systems are, that's fine. Like, I'm not I have plenty of people who aren't vegan, including my wife, who goes in and out at various different times. So I'm not a militaristic vegan of like everyone must change and that kind of thing. But in my belief system, I believe that over time, eventually we're going to change to more of a plant-based food system, and it will be better for the environment, it will be better for animals, and that shift might take, it's probably not going to be done in 10 years. It might be 50 years, it might be 100, it might be several generations, but we might move away. Maybe meat stays as a delicacy and it becomes hard to get or something like that. Maybe we're living on Mars and it's harder to raise cattle and stuff there. Like, I don't know where the future is going to go, but I think there will be a change sometimes in the future. It might be 1,000 years. Who knows? I probably won't be alive for it to completely change, and it will probably never completely change because older technologies never just die out and completely go away. People are still listening to records, even though we have like Spotify and we went through CDs and online streaming and all that kind of thing. Like, old stuff still stays around. So it probably won't change completely, but that's my belief system. And so my ideal customer is someone who believes that as well, who thinks that the food system needs to change, and they're trying to create products that are better alternatives for vegans to have that option as well, but also regular people who might want to try vegan food or alternatives and aren't that worried about it. And so that's who our absolute ideal customer is. They're probably driven by animal welfare beliefs or environmental beliefs, because both of them go towards that and changing the food system. People who are driven by health to be vegan probably don't care that much about the food system. They're more interested in their personal health and that kind of thing. And while they might have an inkling towards that, so everyone's healthier and be an advocate for that, it's not as likely. And so we're more about the animal welfare and the environmental impacts. Even accidental vegans is what we call the companies who they make a product and it happens to be vegan, is within our ethical range. So while they're not our perfect customers, they fit there nicely, especially if they've got certified vegan or something like that on their site. But they might not be vegan themselves, they might be vegetarian, or they might not be at all, and they just saw an opportunity to grow their market by making a vegan product for it. And it's like, that's great. And it works for our ethics. It's not perfect, but if you think about some of the bigger companies who they're like a chicken producer and a poultry farmer thing, and then they go, oh, this vegan market thing is taking off, so we better make a fake chicken over here that we can sell. But then those profits are going straight back into the chicken farming side of things as well. So those are not our ideal clients, but someone who's more aligned along what we believe in the ethicals and that kind of thing. But those substitutes are also like a stepping stone for people who might try a more plant-based lifestyle along the way. So they're helping as part of the change. So you can't be completely against them and be like, oh, you're using the profits for all this bad stuff. Once you start diving down into the vegan channel of how vegan are you, it gets very complicated in terms of your life choices and that kind of thing, and how many things you need to analyze if you really go down to the base source of stuff. So it's an interesting topic, but that's kind of one of our things, is that's what we're looking for. I don't want to be selling things that involve animal products. So if you have beef jerky, not for us, but if it's a vegan beef jerky, then great, like that'll be perfect. They're also long-term thinkers, and so a lot of people, if you're trying to change the food system or things like that, it ties into the vegan thing, but also just, I believe, being a good business person, you have a 10-year time frame or 50-year time frame of what you're building is going to take a long time to make change. If you look at all the most successful companies in the world, the big, like the Coca-Cola and Nike and like you name big brands, they've been around often a long time. And while there's new tech ones that have started off, and like you think of like your Facebook or your TikToks and things like that, that seem relatively new, they also they went for many years without hitting off and becoming massive, and now they're massive, and they've actually been around a long time, over decades now, and so that time is starting to add up. And so I think a good business owner, if you want any type of success, like it takes time, and so having that in their mind, building a brand, so they want their brand to really stand for something, rather than just like selling a product. So I would say they're not about get rich quick and I need to make money. They're not about building a company to have a big exit and like a silicon startup of like, oh, we're gonna make this and then we're gonna sell it for a bajillion dollars. That's not really their mindset. It's something they care about. They're probably fanatical about the product and they want to make the best product possible, and part of that is being fanatical about the customers and serving them as well. Those are our ideal clients. They want a long-term partner to work with, and so they're not coming in and going, oh yeah, we're going to try you for 3 months, and if that doesn't work, we'll try someone else for 3 months, and that kind of thing. It's a different mindset where if you think about hiring an employee in your business, like you don't go, oh, you've got 3 months to make a difference, or otherwise you're gone. Like if you're hiring a marketing department, you'd give them a year or 2 or 3 to get going and make sure that they can start getting results. With a marketing agency, a lot of people are like, oh, this has to happen instantly. And so if you're not making this money in like 5 seconds, then go away. So we don't want those people. We want people who think long term of like, let's build a brand together, and we're in this a mission together, because we treat our clients' businesses like our own business, and we try to make the best decision for your business if we're working with you over the long term, not what's going to get you the short wins as well. We'll discuss the different options and that kind of thing, but that's what we're going for. It's not someone who's distracted by shiny object syndrome, and so it's like, oh, I saw a Facebook ad and now everyone needs to be doing TikTok ads this week, which obviously was a long time ago, but oh, now AI is here. AI is the new brilliant thing. If we're not doing everything with AI, like it's ridiculous. And so they're not really into that kind of hype and the instant results and like you can get rich quick of like, this is the new opportunity, and if you have to jump on the opportunity, otherwise you missed it and you're never ever going to make another dollar ever again. All that bullshit they ignore, and they stick to their knitting and what they care about to make a long-term difference. And so they want to build a business with an excellent team, like a real business. So work with people, build a team, not I want to sit around in my underwear and I'm going to have a bajillion-dollar business with one person, or like they're going to actually build a team that works together to achieve results. So a real business owner, not self-employed and trying to make an income basically. And so a lot of people, like people we work with, they've given up high paid corporate jobs, all that kind of thing, because they're passionate about starting a business. And it's not about the money. They could make more money just doing their job. They've already got money. They're passionate about what they're doing. So that would be 2. So we got vegan and we got a long-term thinker, and a whole bunch of you can understand the psychology, and that's why I'm giving this example of what's behind these people and what makes them tick. Also, lifelong learners would be like kind of one of our 3rd pillars. And so they are, again, not short-term based, but for their life, they want to learn, they want to improve, they want to become better. So they love learning, they love improving. Like they go through that journey. Like for me, my hobby is reading business books or watching business videos on YouTube and that kind of thing. Like that for me is fun. And I want that kind of attitude in the people that we work with, that they learn for fun. It might not be about marketing and business and that kind of thing. Like it helps if we're aligned and we watch the same people and that kind of stuff, or read the same books, then we can get that alignment. But at least they're learning about their product and getting better in their market. And so someone who wants to get better every day in the behavior, how they're showing up as a leader to their team, how they manage people, how they run their business, like they know that there's always a better way to do something, and it's just a process of what should I work on now to improve? What's the constraint that I've got to fix? And so in that sense as well, they're also teachable. If you're a learner, like you're used to being taught stuff or coached, and you're open to other people's opinions, you don't think your way is absolutely right. A lot of the things, like when I'm talking with my team or clients or that kind of thing, it's like, I think it's this way based on here's the examples or the results or the things that I've seen. But at the end of the day, we often don't know what is going to work perfectly. It's a testing and iterating process. And so someone who has that attitude of like, this is our hypothesis, this is what we're going to try, see what the result is, and then we're going to move on and try the next thing, rather than, oh yeah, this one is going to work perfectly the first time. It's interesting, I've probably got a whole video on that in terms of people who are like, well, like just make it work instantly, not realizing that everything in life has mixed results. It's like, oh, just we've hired you and you should be able to grow my business like overnight, just do it. It's like, well, even the top VC companies in the world like put money into businesses and they get like one that's really successful out of 10 and 7 that fail and a couple in the middle that do okay and pay for themselves and that kind of thing. So if they can't pick amazing businesses and make everything take off, like what hope? And they've got literally throwing like millions of dollars at it. Like what hope does everyone have if you're starting off from a smaller base as well with less resources? If the biggest companies in the world, every time they launch a product, it is not successful. Coca-Cola comes and launches new Coke and it's a complete disaster, despite how many smart people and great product innovation and the taste testing and the billions of dollars that they have at it. It didn't work. Like, and you can see that like Microsoft has gone through a raft of launching a bunch of products that some really successful, some not so successful. And so if they can't do it, don't expect your business to be instantly successful and grow. So that's kind of the coaching, coachable part of it, so you understand that that's the reality of the world. And also discerning into like you can be teachable and coachable, but if you keep listening to different people and changing your opinion all the time, you've got to be discerning on who you listen to and be like, okay, why do I believe this person knows what they're talking about? And be willing to follow that track for the long term, rather than, I'm going to jump from thing to thing. So classic example, like people who go on diets all the time, and it's like, I just read this new book and this is the ultimate diet. And it's like, you've just tried 20 diets. Like, it's not the diet that's the problem. It's something to do with your mindset or behavior, or you're being able to follow it or finding the right one for you. But you're hopping from the next thing to the next, rather than going, okay, who's the real expert that I want to listen to in this area and follow their advice. And if I do that for a long time, 10 years, I'll get the results. Not, I didn't lose 100 pounds in 2 weeks, so I give up. Like, that's not how life works. Things take time. They compound, you get results over time. Again, long-term thinkers, but a person who learns that way as well and is discerning, and also a logical thinker. So there's a lot of people that run around based on we're all emotional, driven by emotion in a lot of cases. But the more logic you can bring into a situation, the more you can analyze it and step back and look, am I making this decision from an emotional place that's not actually going to hurt me? A lot of our logical decisions are better for us over the long term. So use the diet example, right? It's like, emotionally, I want to eat that box of donuts that's in front of me. But logically, I know if I eat those box of donuts, it's going to put me back on my health goals, so I probably shouldn't, or I should have one, and save the rest, and we'll give the rest away if they're all going to go off, or whatever it is. Like, so how do you bring more logic into your thinking? Like, I'm a very analytical and a logical person. And while we all have that emotional component, it's like people who think that way are more my type, shall we say. So to wrap up, like as a bit of a summary, like think about how many customers you actually need, and then out of the big pool of possible customers, it starts to narrow it down, and you can think, actually I can get really specific with the person that I want and really aim for that bullseye in the middle to start off with. Do you actually have a purple cow? Is it something that's worth remarking about that people are going to tell their friends? Is your product really good enough? Like, we can make a product that we think is good enough, but if we talk to our real ideal customers, they should love the product as much as we do because they understand it, and that's the whole educational based branding part, is understand it as much as we do, so they want to spread the word about it because they care about it. If your product's just not that good because you're trying to make a buck, then it's not going to work. And then constant improvement through the understanding of your customers. And so this is an iterative process. You don't make your business plan and you're right, this is my ideal customer, and then it never changes. Like, you've got to keep thinking about the demographics and tightening them up. Look at, like, when we dive into the social media results, or who's the followers, or look at data in Shopify, or those kind of things, we start to make better decisions and go, oh, actually maybe we should be talking to this person because we're seeing this result. And more importantly, the psychographics. So how do these people think? What can we learn about them? Where can we go? Can we dive into forums and questions and look at our customer service queries? What are people reading on the website? What are they not reading? What do we need to put there? And really understanding them at that deep level. And that's when we totally start to understand our customers. It's never going to be perfect, but this is like anything in life. You never achieve perfection. Anything worth doing is always an ongoing process. Your business will never be perfect. It will never be finished. Your relationship will never be perfect. It will never be finished. You're always working on it. Your health will never be perfect. It will never be finished. It's a constant evolving process. And that's like understanding your customers and building your business. It's a long-term thing, and you're going to be constantly improving on it. So hopefully that helps you think through how to define your ideal customers, get a bit of clarity, put some thought into it, write some stuff down, and iterate from there, some demographics, some psychographics. And if you happen to be watching this and you feel like you're one of our ideal customers, then feel free to reach out and we can have a chat about how we can help you target your customers, but also like build your business on Shopify and the retail brand that supports that as well, because e-commerce is just a little part of it and it's the whole brand. You'll get a lot more money from the retail distribution and getting it in stores in front of people, the right stores, and there's a way to do that too. But that's what we work with. Anyway, that's it for today, and I'll catch you tomorrow.